I greet you all today, dear friends. My name is Yuri Fidyra, and today we will talk about such an important and interesting topic as rejuvenation, quantum restoration, activation of the deep DNA that exists in each of us, and can give us the opportunity not just to prolong our old age, not just to somehow extend our life, but to truly ensure a new, renewed existence in this body at a qualitative level, and not as a preservation of our old age or youth, but as the ability to start regeneration processes. This is not a reversal of time. This is not a reversal back to youth. And this is literally a recreation of your body, and perhaps even in a higher quality than it was before, than how you lived your life previously. That is, now people can notice in themselves that the manifestation of different thoughts and ideas that each person thinks in their head has accelerated significantly. And as soon as you think about something, it quickly reflects on everything around you, and particularly on your body. You may have already started to feel it personally, and today we will look at how to do this, how to activate it. This is DNA restoration, which allows us to live long and not age. Because aging is a program of destruction, and of course, as you might expect, we shouldn't have it. If you look at the animal world, for example, tell me, can you tell the difference? Any old animal from a young one? Well, not always, far from always, because even in animals, the signs of aging are not as clearly expressed as they are in humans. When the skin sags like that, and a person turns into a very wrinkled, frail old man with thinning hair, grey hair, and so on. Skin covered with spots. But right now we're not even talking about... We'll talk about youth from the perspective of aesthetics and beauty on a more qualitative level. After all, there are civilizations. There are alien civilizations that do not age. And that's practically all of it. Because when a civilization reaches a certain level of progress, they experience what has now become possible for us. Unlocking those areas of DNA that give the process of internal harmony and balance when the body stops self-destructing. And our body's self-destruction has a karmic basis. It has its root causes. And by working through these, we can achieve a state that allows us to reach practical immortality, because our physical body is capable of living, even if you don't do anything special, for at least 600 years. So this is the physical body of a person. Moreover, even what is considered unattractive, like a crooked nose or a distorted face, is not necessarily encoded in our genes. Today we'll touch on this as well, and talk about why people are attracted to beautiful individuals, and how they attain that beauty. But first, let's touch on the topic of health and quantum rejuvenation. What is it, and how can we actually achieve it? I'll reveal this topic starting with 3 main levels, so we have a structured narrative, which I really like. We'll start by talking about the physical level, that is how any person can specifically initiate within themselves true rejuvenation at the cellular level, on a physical level. So what exactly needs to be done, how it's structured on the etheric level, and how it's structured on the quantum level. So we will touch on 3 main layers, and I will be answering many of your questions. Perhaps today some extraterrestrial civilizations will join us. I, in particular, set the intention for the Pleiadians to be present, because they live for 10,000 years and don't age. And it would be very interesting to ask them questions. How did they achieve that? Why is that for them? I know the answers, but I think they would be happy to answer these questions for you. So, let's start with the fact that the conversation now will not go so much about youth and aesthetic beauty, but rather about how the speed of vibrations has intensified in our time. Starting from a certain point, the speed of manifesting intentions, as I mentioned earlier, has begun to increase. And thanks to this, any thought projected into a person's consciousness has started to influence the surrounding space even more quickly and actively influence the surrounding space, especially the physical body. And many people have developed health-related issues. For example, someone started having terrible psychosomatics, and what's more, I noted that this unblocking has been happening gradually since the age of 21, and it really reached an active phase in the 22nd year, when the unblocking of DNA began and the ability of our mental plane to change the structure of the surrounding space intensified. Thanks to this, it literally started that as soon as you begin to play out something in your consciousness, some scenarios, thoughts, feelings, or sensations, and this literally starts to reflect immediately on the state of the physical body and what is now referred to as psychosomatics. And all of that has also started to manifest even more actively. If you've noticed this too, you can write in the chat. Did you really feel that effect in yourself? Because how will this work in a positive way and in a negative way as well? That is, it is literally unacceptable now. Live through a scenario of negative thinking when you plunge into some fears again and again without working with them. You cover up these fears with anger. You get angry at someone. You disguise your grievances as something, as anger, as internal conflicts. And then health problems begin. Heartburn, intestinal diseases, stomach diseases, digestive issues, problems with the gallbladder, stones, kidney stones, all sorts of cystitis, cholecystitis. Many people are starting to experience a significant decline in their eyesight and hearing. Why? Cognitive abilities are declining, because this is directly related to our thinking. And this effect will continue to increase. So the degree of connection between our thinking, the connection between the mental and quantum planes with physical space, the mutual penetration of these spaces into each other continues to increase. And in this context, you need to learn how to ensure that your consciousness doesn't destroy your body and your life, but rather tunes it, helps it to live in pleasure, in comfort, not just to live out your years, but to really do it. Life is high quality, comfortable, and joyful. When the body gets younger every day instead of aging, that's also possible. For example, the Pleiadians. The body can exist for up to 25,000 years, and most often they exit incarnation on their own. Not because they committed suicide, but because they simply understand that they want to complete their journey. This is an incarnation. They sit down to meditate, like those monks, who in meditation enter another space, and they simply leave their body in this way through samadhi. And many civilizations do the same. Today we will talk about how to do this. I think this topic is very interesting and relevant to many. But before we start, I want to share that, I haven't had any broadcasts for a while, and it's not just for no reason. I embarked on a spiritual journey to places of power and visited such ancient sites where civilizations were born, civilizations where ancient artifacts of the building remained are half destroyed from those civilizations that still survive the past. Contacting extraterrestrial civilizations, times when extraterrestrial intelligence taught how to build certain structures that allow for the reception of energies from space. I'm currently showing you pictures from Thailand. From its ancient capitals like Ayutthaya. I also visited several of those quite popular temples in northern Thailand. You can take a look at their beauty. And like these places. But the greatest inspiration and amazement for me came from this temple, although it just looks like a flying saucer. For those who have been following me on Telegram, I highly recommend you keep following me on Telegram. The subscription link is in the description in the pinned comment. They know where I was, what it meant. I told them all about it in detail throughout my entire journey. Here, I just want to talk about this last temple. That looks like a flying saucer, which impressed me the most. This is related to one of the keys that I will give you today, keys to immortality. This temple looks like a sphere with a golden dome extending from it. And inside this temple there are 700,000 statues, the Buddhas of the Golden Buddha. And the Buddha is not like a god or anything, right? It's not like a religion. It's more like the image of a person who has achieved enlightenment. Well, that's what we all strive for, right? And on the temple there were also, on this roof, there are small golden statues of Buddha, of which there are 300,000. So in total, this temple has 1 million Buddha statues that represent 1 million people. And in general, the number of people gathering there for meditation is designed for 1 million people. So at one time, 1 million people can meditate there. And when I approached the monks who were there, the ones who live there and meditate, they told me what the main idea is and why the temple is shaped like that. You might be very surprised right now, but actually everything here is very interesting and simple. They say that the only thing to focus on to achieve enlightenment is meditation on the golden sphere. What does that mean? On the golden sphere inside our hearts. And these golden rays that extend from it like a dome, this is the light that radiates like the sun. This golden sphere emits space. And so focusing on this golden sphere is very important. And this is also for achieving a state in which you enter eternal existence. After what we are going to talk about, today it is not at all about cosmetology, some banal beauty and the pursuit of beauty that people are now organizing because they are only chasing some external manifestations of beauty to pump up their lips with silicone, something else. Personally, I am neither for nor against all this. Every person does all this of his own free will and must be fully aware of why, for what purpose he is doing this, and what he is trying to achieve. We're going to talk about something completely different now. We will talk about where it comes from. The ability for regeneration and revival of one's body, the revival of oneself. And why is it that some, possibly extraterrestrial civilizations, can afford to live and not age at all? For them, it's completely natural. On the contrary, it's surprising to them when other races like us age. In fact, the secret lies in divinity. What does divinity mean? To become like God. What is God? God is a universal structure that it encompasses everything, both creation and destruction, as well as the harmony between creation and destruction. So we are born, and it starts with creation, and we seem young, good, and beautiful. And then at some point it switches and the destruction begins. And why is that? Because throughout our lives we get used to living in destructive thoughts, in hatred, in conflicts, and in spiritual contradictions. And we, one way or another, influence our body and consciousness with various factors, which can be physical, energetic, or mental. And the balance between creation and destruction is disrupted. It turns out that a person, looking at the surrounding space and society, he thinks that growing old, falling apart, becoming decrepit, turning into some kind of trough is normal. And that's why they perceive their self-destruction as something natural, like, well, it's just age, right? There's nothing we can do about it anymore. That's complete nonsense. We can do everything. Your eyesight shouldn't deteriorate, nor should your back, knees, or legs. Nothing should hurt. Health is a completely different state than what you think. That's why the norm is when things are as they should be. Like how it is with highly developed extraterrestrial civilizations. When a being is rational, spiritual, whatever it thinks or feels, directly reflects in its energies. That is, in those energies, which this being transmits into the surrounding space in the energies that this being sends through its material avatar. And these energies are capable of changing the space and the avatar. Do you agree? So what arises from this? What if a being inside, right here in the soul, in the heart, in the mind, there is harmony, which implies what? Destruction of destructive potentials and creation of favorable constructive potentials. But what is it, for example, without destruction? Creation? For example, you might say, how can that be? How can creation be possible without destruction? Destruction must be present as a form of energy. For example, everyone has immunity. And what does immunity do? It eliminates harmful cells, for example, cancer cells. It destroys them. It eliminates damaged cells that have mutated, damaged DNA. It kills them. The immune system has the function of identifying foreign cells and killing them. So, in our body, just like in any being, just like in God, and we live within God, there is a function of destruction. But this function must be harmonized with the function of creation. So destruction should be directed only at destructive potentials that harm the entire organism as a whole. And creation should be directed towards the whole organism. When a being, and we're not specifically talking about a human, but any being in the cosmos, because this law applies universally to all. When any being establishes internal harmony, a godlike state, when we live without illusions, ego, and duality, which leads a person to the need to judge, hate, criticize someone, to hold a grudge, to inflict pain on oneself, to be excessively angry at someone, to hate someone or oneself. And many people live their whole lives like this, living in fear, hating themselves, unable to forgive themselves. And everything they feel starts to reflect on their face, on their health. Organs begin to fail, and the organ systems that are connected to certain psycho-emotional states start to break down. And the new German medicine, psychosomatics, is, fortunately, thank God, something that people are starting to learn about. She has already started studying this and proving that even oncology at the most severe fifth stages can retreat. If a person has established order right here in their head and right here in their heart with themselves, then what does the body reveal within itself? The magic that is embedded in it, the incredible magical resources. But you might say, well, you're telling us all this, right? You're lying, it's all untrue, you're just telling us fairy tales, I don't believe any of it. And now let's take a moment for some chemistry, biology, and biochemistry. You want it, as I promised. Let's start with the physical level, and I'll explain how it works. I am a scientist by education, a biochemist first and foremost, and then a psychologist, an esotericist, and everything else. So, as a scientist and biochemist, I've always had a strong desire to understand why people age. It shouldn't be this way. And my only dream was this, the biggest one, to develop a cure for aging. Because I believe that in order to live this experience well, you need to live it in a young and beautiful way, in a body, not one that starts falling apart into pieces after 30. Right. And that's why I studied this topic. And there are currently various theories among scientists about where our aging comes from. Some say it's due to free radicals, and that's partly true. Food overly loaded with free radicals, loaded with sugar, loaded with alcohol, loaded with some processed foods, low quality fats, refined fats, fats that contain trans fats. All of this fried food, refined oil, palm oil, deodorized oil, sunflower oil, all of this, of course, increases the rate of our aging. Like this 100 times. On top of that, there are inflammatory foods that people consume. But I'm not going to dwell on diets right now. Of course, it's important to pay attention to your diet and eat mindfully. But if you want to study this topic in detail, go to nutritionists. They know a lot about it now. I will now briefly touch on the topic of what is happening from the point of view of physics and what we need. What other mechanisms of aging are there from a physics perspective? So far, what our scientists know is about telomeres. What we have in each chromosome are telomeres, and during cell division, each time DNA is read, it is not from the beginning of the DNA chain. Chromosomes, as if it's biting off a piece from it. That is a piece of it, and part of the DNA is lost. A telomere is the end part of DNA that doesn't carry any coding information. And when it gets bitten off, it doesn't cause any damage. But every time the cell divides over and over again, the telomere gets bitten off, bitten off, bitten off, bitten off. And at some point, the telomere runs out. And during the repeated synthesis of DNA, the loss of the coding chain is already happening. So the part of the DNA that is responsible for your body, for your health, it starts to get damaged somewhere along the way. This is another theory. But scientists have also found that there are enzymes called telomerase, which are capable of rebuilding the telomere. So basically, our body has this telomerase, and it can restore telomeres. Why is this process happening? It's not working for us, is it? Or is it not working well? This question is very important, right? What's the next important thing in terms of health? We also have the concept of epigenetics. This is what I'm leading up to with the biological topic. Epigenetics is a modern science that shows that there is a lot of non-coding, so-called junk zone. So this is the area that scientists don't understand why it's needed. But it's not junk at all. It contains a lot of information about our superpowers, our quantum body, our incredible abilities, about what people call supernatural. Vision, feeling, telekinesis, telepathy, and also about the mechanisms that trigger rejuvenation and regeneration of the body. That's where it's concentrated. But there are also mechanisms of destruction concentrated there. And what happens? What is epigenetics? Epigenetics is about these magical molecules in our cells that respond, pay attention, not many people know this yet, to energetic impulses. So just imagine, in every cell there are microscopic protein molecules that act as guides that direct the synthesis of coding DNA strands. From the information in the DNA, it is transcribed to messenger RNA. And then this messenger RNA, yes, it comes out into the cavity. It exits the nucleus of the cell and already participates in the processes of protein synthesis on the ribosomes in all cells. Yes, in the whole cell. And what's very important is that these non-coding strands can contain what information about what illnesses your grandparents, great-grandparents had, and how they recovered from them, how they survived. Yes, that's also information. There is information about how your body can be completely healthy. So when people say it's a disease, genetic, we're ugly, scary, or aging because we have such bad genes, we're genetically like this. It's in the genes. But what if the disease is in the genes? Yes, that's nonsense. No disease is in any genes. Why? And that's because epigenetics controls the process. In your genes, there is information about the diseases that your ancestors experienced millions of years before you. And thank goodness it's there, because our energy, since it has survived to this moment, has figured out how to recover from it. Meaning, for every disease or problem in our DNA, there is a solution to that problem. There are those DNA strands that, on the contrary, provide restoration, regeneration for a person. But the question is, what about these magical molecules, the orientants that float inside the nucleus and read vibrations because they react to the waves of vibrations that we send through emotions and feelings? Now, if a person is in a state of suppressed emotions, in depression, in some kind of in an internal conflict, their DNA, which is quantum, starts to vibrate. Vibrate at what frequency? At the frequency that the person is at. Then he is in such a depressed, oppressed state, he constantly berates himself, he constantly lives in this suffering, and his DNA starts to vibrate at the frequency of suffering. Then orienting molecules come to this DNA and look at which part of the DNA is currently vibrating the most strongly. Here it vibrates the strongest. The guiding molecules don't understand that this part that is currently vibrating the strongest is negative. It is responsible for illness. Well, for cancer, for oncology, for problems with the thyroid, with the pancreas, with anything. And so the guiding molecule sits in that spot and says, hello, hello, messenger RNA, come to me, read from me to make a protein. If it's vibrating right now, it must be important for our host. Do you understand how the molecules in our cells work? They think it's important since it's vibrating right here, right now. They don't distinguish between negative and positive. There it's just A, T, A, T, A, T, all the molecules. Yes, adenine, guanine, thymine, cytosine, they're just coded, yes, with letters. Well, that's how we came up with it. Yes, in fact, there are purine, pyrimidine bases there. Our body, our psycho-emotional state, our vibrational state affect the DNA. And during cell division, and all our cells need to divide and constantly renew themselves, the following happens. It is from the way our cells divide that determines how long we will live. And scientists have identified a concept known as the Hayflick limit, so to speak. If I said it correctly, forgive me if I made a mistake. The Hayflick limit refers to how many times each cell can roughly divide. Well, on average, it's been calculated to be about 70-80 times. After 70-80 times, the cell starts aging and can no longer divide because it loses its telomeres. And all that, of course, this limit is not a limit, and you can push it apart. It can actually be removed. Why? It arises precisely because self-destructive errors start to accumulate in our DNA. What happens during cell division? An old cell has to die, and a new cell should take its place. But it happens that when you're under stress, dealing with internal conflicts and going through emotional turmoil, you tighten up, you feel bad, you feel pain, you internally torment and torture yourself, you suffer. From this suffering, there's a highlighting and vibration of those areas of DNA that correspond to problems, diseases, and so on. And the following happens. The problems of disease and aging have been highlighted. The reading messenger RNA has arrived. She believed that it was important, and it transferred this to the new cell, and the old cell has died. The new cell has grown. Because the cells have divided, the old one dies and the new one is born. And in the new cell, or the DNA associated with disease is already more pronounced, DNA associated with aging. And so it goes systematically from childhood, not knowing how to manage your consciousness, not realizing that our consciousness directly affects every little cell, the DNA, everything inside us. Not understanding this, a person starts to influence their own self-destruction. Because with each cell division, errors accumulate. Accumulation. And fortunately, this can be stopped and reversed because these errors can also be corrected. Because in our cells, in our nuclei, there are also other very smart molecules that are capable of repairing this damage, which contain information and resources that are capable of correcting everything. This raises the question you heard about biology, about biochemistry. Is it difficult? I explain. Is it simple? So, if you've understood this logic, How should one live to avoid getting sick, to stay healthy, and to prevent any cancers or oncological issues? What should we do? First of all, work with the cuckoo so that this cuckoo doesn't ruin your life and so that it connects with your soul and heart. Remember the flying saucer with the golden sphere? And even watch until the end. I'll tell you what we're going to do with it. And we'll do a meditation that I learned there in that temple. It will really help with activating DNA. This raises the question that no magical practices for DNA activation imply. When they say, someone on the internet, come to me for a session. Now I'm going to work some magic, your DNA will activate. They don't work by themselves. They have an effect. I can't say that they don't work at all, but this effect primarily depends on how you personally will change your vibrations. What will you emit? Vibrations. Vibrations of regeneration. Vibrations of rebirth. Faith that you are not doomed to age in pain. When your whole body aches, hurts, you can't get up. You don't remember anything. You are not doomed to this. You are free in your choice. In the choice. But this choice needs to be made consciously. Consciously, this will be a healing meditation. The meditation is not healing. Your consciousness and your body are healing. Your DNA is healing. The meditation just allows you to give off a vibration that will highlight those DNA that will help restoration. Logically comes from here. You could say that if a person leads his life primarily to joy, to well-being, and in a state of fulfillment, works with your thoughts, works with your consciousness, so as not to stress over trifles, so as not to get nervous over little things, so as not to get irritated, not to judge, not to criticize other people, not to gossip about anyone, but to live easily, freely, feeling that the world helps you and is not a source of struggle, because many people live in an eternal battle with the world. What does it mean to be in a battle with the world? We constantly reject something in ourselves and in others, and we start getting angry at others, criticizing them, quietly hate, envy. Why? But because we do not accept something in ourselves, we do not like it in ourselves. And we try to project this onto others, to mask it within ourselves and fight against these qualities in the external world. In other words, we try to change other people, to conflict with them, to criticize them, as if that would help and make things easier, including even criticizing the situation in the world, in the government system. But all of this reflects within us. If a person has found inner freedom, they won't have that desire, and he starts to vibrate at a different frequency, activating the DNA of restoration within him. So epigenetics gives us the ability to activate the DNA of restoration in every cell of our body, which ensures complete inner regeneration. And here I'll answer a short question. What about little kids? Do they get themselves all worked up? Of course they do. Children of any age, even if they can't speak yet, start to absorb everything from their parents, and exactly the same kind of craziness that they have starts to form in the child. And if on top of that the parents demonstrate some kind of not eco-friendly, an uneco-friendly global atmosphere, then some additional traumas are formed and the child starts to think poorly of themselves. And children's bodies start to react very quickly. They immediately begin to get sick. Sometimes it happens that problems. The child gets sick because the mother is stressed. The child reacts to all these states even faster. Do you understand, right? Now let's move on to the energetic level because we've approached it. Yes. a couple of moments on the physical level. In order to activate this inner restoration on a physical level, of course, physical activity is important, as well as some breathing practices, and a sufficient amount of oxygen and nutrition for all the cells in the body. But it's also very important that there are building materials, all the necessary trace elements that trigger the chemical reactions related to regeneration in our body. Because as a biochemist, I look at this and I see that, of course, in our body there can be cold nuclear fusion, and we can synthesize any molecule in our body. But I assume that maybe you haven't learned to do it that way yet. So, for example, if you have vitamin deficiencies, it's best to address that and replenish those deficiencies. About vitamins, and I won't give any recommendations right now regarding how to drink. I can only say that it's better not to drink. So this is the vitamins from the pharmacy, the cheapest ones like multivitamins such as Complivit. This is junk that can harm your health more than help. So it's best to find quality vitamins in bioavailable forms, in the right concentrations. Fortunately, on YouTube, there's a lot of information on this topic right now. You can look up this professor, Dr. Dodali, and he will tell you everything about vitamins. Of course, he might have some exaggerations after all. He's a chemist, so he might be stretching things a bit. This is not an advertisement, it's just something I personally recommend because I've watched it myself. I really like this Dr. Dodali, and he talks very well about the chemistry of vitamins there. But the most important thing is what nutrition in vitamins. This is vitamins. And first of all, the right fats, because fats are the structural material of everything. All cells, this is what makes up the cell walls, the membranes of all cells, phospholipids. And the right fats. Why the right ones? Because there are wrong ones. Wrong fats which have a structural disruption. Trans fats are everything related to margarines, hydrogenated fats, and refined oils stripped of their benefits, meaning all refined oils. If you want to restore your health and rejuvenate, please throw away all refined oils and never buy or consume them again. And don't consume any products that contain margarine or refined oils. So the oils should only be natural, like olive oil, coconut oil, and so on. Good quality natural fats. Also, omega-3, absolutely. It's very important. B vitamins, especially B6 and B12, 13. Vitamin D is also very important because it is extremely necessary for the body. Vitamin D, and together with K2, vitamin K2, without which vitamin D doesn't work properly. Vitamin D and vitamin K2 are very important vitamins. And there's also a vitamin that not many people know about, which is vitamin B14, which is also important for recovery. Right now, there are also some very trendy remedies like HATE NID. This also helps in recovery. But I can't fully recommend it yet. It hasn't been tested yet. That is, in general, if you start exploring this topic, you can find a lot of information. I'm not going to dwell on this specifically here. I only mentioned the main points. Of course, I had more planned to say. Silicon is also important, along with selenium, zinc, magnesium, calcium, also, and some other trace element. But in very small amounts, molybdenum, in very small amounts, but they are also important because many of us simply don't have them. You can, for the sake of experiment, get some tests done, and you'll immediately see what you have. Deficiencies in vitamin B, magnesium deficiencies, vitamin B12 deficiency, iron deficiencies, especially vitamin deficiency, D3, because everyone, even those who live here in sunny countries, has a deficiency of vitamin D3. Because I'm lying. there's a deficiency of vitamin D because people, and even when going out in the sun, we are not able to synthesize enough of it in our skin. So you need to get it from food, but the food nowadays is so poor in vitamins that even if you eat a very diverse diet, you still won't get enough. Because food is grown incorrectly in the fields. It's grown in the same fields. Many, many years, not changing, not changing, not changing. Without changing the territory, without giving the land a chance to rest. And that's why the soil itself becomes very poor on trace elements. And you simply take the same food, the same products that our relatives used to take 100 years ago. But in their times, the same products were more nutritious than the ones we have now. Our products are more empty and poor in vitamins. That's why nowadays it becomes relevant to take some additional vitamins. Next, as for now, in biochemistry and biology, I'm finishing up. If there's interest on this topic, I'll share it in the Telegram channel. A few additional recommendations. 123123. Whoever wants to join me in the Telegram channel, the link is in the description for the Telegram channel. 123123. I just turned it up a bit. 123. 123. Whoever wants to join me in the Telegram channel, there is a link in the description. There I will give you additional information on these topics. If you ask, I will tell you in more detail, because I, as a biochemist, also really love to delve into all these topics. And I've studied and experimented a lot on myself. It's clear that for recovery and regeneration, the body needs resources. And someday we will learn to synthesize this in a quantum way within ourselves. But for now, during this transitional period, it would be good to get nourishment from food. The next level of interaction is the etheric energetic level. What are the reasons at the etheric level that lead a person to self-destruct? Then we'll get to the quantum level. Remember the quantum level. The etheric level is based on mental and energetic patterns, meaning the psycho-emotional triggers and states that initiate processes of self-destruction and self-degradation in a person. Well, first of all, we see from childhood that everyone ages and dies, and we think that this is normal. That's not normal. We tune into this right away, we agree with it, we get used to this thought. When I was about 15, I looked at adult men who are 30, 40, 50 years old, and I thought, oh my God, is this what awaits me too? What a horror. What a nightmare. How people change over time on this planet. It was a shock for me, because on those planets where I'm from, that doesn't exist. So people live and they look pretty much the same throughout their lives. They change a little, they mature. You can see that they are getting older, but there are no signs of aging specifically. So they just become a little different, a little more mature, not old. And so it was very strange and surprising for me. And then I asked myself, why should it be this way? Maybe it can be different. And the first foundation is the psycho-emotional state. Ours. You need to establish at the level of spiritual energies within yourself. What? So that destructive energy is never directed at your own personality and your soul. And now pay attention. Place each hand on your heart. Right now, seriously, place your hands. And now, just holding your hand on your heart, focus your attention in the center of your chest. And just mentally listen to my voice. You can repeat the words that I will say. Now, I say your name. I recognize myself. Ask yourself the question, who am I? And answer it mentally. Who are you? Someone might say, well, I am this or that, this or that. I am a person. And how do you feel, for example, to another person that you love very much? Now imagine now with your hand on your heart of another person whom you would love the most in your life. Who was that in your life? It could be your beloved husband, wife, child, anyone. It could be a friend, brother, sister, mother, father, anyone. Who was the first person that came to mind? Ask the question. Tell me, this person that you love or would love very much, what would you be willing to do for them? Well, if he made some mistake in life, would you forgive him? Another person, if you saw that he needed help, would you help him? You love him very much. And if he got into some kind of situation, would you start judging him? Or would you still love him despite the fact that he got into trouble? And how would you take care of him if he were tired? What if he were feeling bad? What would you say to him? And now, shift your attention to what is in his chest. Now, look into his chest, this person, right into his heart, right there. And see what you can find there. There is some kind of ball of light. Yes. And here is the personality of this person who is called by a certain name in a certain way. And there is a certain inner light. Really, did you notice? So mentally, play all of this out now and you will feel everything. Notice that inside him there is some kind of inner light. And you feel that he deserves the love that you can give him. Really say yes or no. The one you love is worthy of receiving that love from you. And now quickly bring your attention back to your heart. And see that inside you there is also a ball of light. And he is called neither Yuri Fidyra, nor Natasha, nor Glasha, no matter what you are called. This ball of light is just as much of a divine nature as the person you love. Of divine nature, as is truly the person you love. And now pay attention. You place your hand on the heart of the most precious and beloved person in your life. Can you allow yourself all that you would allow the one you love? Have you noticed before this moment that there is also this light inside you? Have you noticed before that he also deserves this attention and love? Notice that between this light and your personality, who you considered yourself to be all your life, there is a difference. And who you thought you were in your head, this an illusion. And who you really are is what is in your heart right now. And that is the truth. The pure truth flowing with golden light from the center of your chest is worthy of love and is made of it. The truth right now is that you are not a personality, not a mother, not a father, not a grandmother, not a grandfather. You are not a person, and you are not this body. You are just this light. This is the truth. This is the gold inside you. In everyone worthy of love, worthy of forgiveness, worthy of acceptance, worthy of attention. Take your hands now and hug yourself with your hands and say to yourself, say, I am the truth. Original, worthy of love by definition. This color is always with me, inside me. Well done. And now return to this space. Amazing, right? What did you feel? This was one of the meditations that is a path to enlightenment. What did we just do? People, what did I just do to you? I pulled you out of the illusion. I pulled you out of the matrix for a split second, and you realized that there is a difference between who you really are and who you think you are. So you thought all your life that you are a person, this person who lives this life, who was raised this way, and a person. She has some characteristics. For example, she made a mistake in childhood and got a bad grade at school. And you think, oh, I'm such a fool, an idiot, or a loser. I'm not worthy of being praised by my parents. They'll come and scold me, punish me, or something else. And every time making mistakes in life. I fell in love with the wrong person, got dumped, went the wrong way, stumbled, fell, twisted my leg. When we make mistakes, we start blaming ourselves, accumulating this guilt as if we deserve it. Punishment, unable to forgive ourselves. We accumulate these feelings of guilt, pain, resentment towards the world, towards ourselves, and we shut ourselves off from that. The light that is within us, it is this light that can heal you, nothing else. Not me, not any wizards, not any of those esoteric people, schizophrenics who are all over the internet pouring out all sorts of nonsense, just ridiculous stuff. Now we will heal you. I'm going to draw something for you. Pythagoras super square, I'll burn some there. Goose feet and everything will be fine. Nothing like that. Only this inner light of yours heals. And it is always with you. The realization that this inner light is within you and that it is not something that is just here. You think you are this place, but you are this place. This place creates illusions for you, while this one gives you the truth. And it turns out that by living in illusions, living in false identifications throughout our lives, we make false conclusions about ourselves. I made some mistake, I'm an idiot, I'm a fool. But being a fool and idiot, it's just an opinion, it's not a fact, it's a judgment. So if I take right now, let's say, no, I have apples in my hands, but imagine that I have 2 apples in my hands. And I'm holding these 2 apples. One, for example, they are roughly the same. I'm saying that these apples are red, and that's a fact. And the fact that these are apples is also a fact. And now I'm saying that I'm giving 1 apple to you and I'm keeping 1 for myself. You imagined it, right? So now we both took a bite of this apple. You took a bite of yours, I took a bite of mine. And now I'm telling you, my apple is tastier than yours. So tell me, is that a fact or not? You would say, no, mine is tastier. So how do you know? Let's swap, let's try. So that's an opinion, but not a fact. For example, if I say about someone, this person is beautiful and you are not beautiful. Is that a fact? No, that's just an opinion. And so we confuse in our heads the opinion about ourselves that other people give us. Our parents, society instills in us, and we take this opinion as a fact, and everything we consider a fact becomes, in the subtle material quantum space, I'll explain more about this later, a law for us that manifests this reality into matter. So, when a person starts thinking poorly of themselves, like I'm an idiot, I'm bad, I deserve punishment, I deserve suffering, they end up facing problems, health issues, self-destructive patterns, cancer, all sorts of problems. Can we work on this? Yes. Can we get out of these false identifications? Yes, we can. But it requires a lot of work on your awareness, daily and continuous. Stay with me constantly on my YouTube channel. In each of my broadcasts, I provide some useful keys, information, and everything you need to work through things. And even if, for example, you're not ready to sign up for one of my courses yet, just watching my videos will be very therapeutic and helpful for you. I believe it's very valuable. Right now, I'm delivering the information clearly, as sometimes I really struggle. To me, it's becoming, how should I say it, so as not to be negative. I find it hard to say it without being negative. It's becoming very surprising and very interesting how many people have become into esotericism. Just open. Such wild stuff. You can hear that. For me, as a person with knowledge, the ears curl up into a tube, and the eyes of people who don't have knowledge pop out. They think, wow, how unusual, how interesting. But it might not be that it's uninteresting. It could just be complete nonsense that has nothing to do with reality. And that's sad. But I believe that it will happen sooner or later. All the esotericism will take a back seat, as each of you is becoming more and more aware every day. I liked this meditation. So please tell me, how does YouTube work? Does it freeze because someone is saying that their YouTube is freezing? If it's working well, we continue. I have a great internet connection. It's fiber optic, so nothing should freeze. Now we will go to the quantum level. What does it mean to go to the quantum level? The thing is, quantum space. We will study this in detail in the course on the power of reality management. This time, I decided to rework the power of reality control and add elements to it, including quantum rejuvenation. So, thank God the course was postponed. And now I have extra time to refine the material, because I want us not just to learn how to manage reality, but to immediately put it into practice so that we can shape our reality for the benefit of health, well-being, and a state of material abundance. Because it's not normal to live in poverty. It's not normal to just make ends meet. That means there are issues with your energy space. You need to learn how to build the energy of abundance. If you are capable of creating reality, then you should have everything you need for that, including material goods, resources, money, and so on. That's all. It's not normal when you live in poverty and can't afford anything for yourself. We will also cover this in the course, The Power of Reality Management. And then, at the end, we'll get to the topic of quantum rejuvenation, where I'll provide specific techniques. Today I can touch on this, but only as much as I have time for, and only as much as I can provide information in the public domain. So, what is implied from the perspective of 5D? As you know, don't listen to the nonsense on the internet and from others who claim that we're moving into 5D, flying somewhere into this 5D. In 5D, we are not transitioning, but we are evolving our consciousness to the 5D level. And 5D already exists. It has been manifested around us for a long time. To reach the vibrations of 5D and recognize it, you need to become aware of your ability to manage not just reality, but also your own state. What does it mean to manage? 5D is a space that has an infinite number of possible future outcomes. Our thoughts, but not just thoughts, there is another factor that hasn't been mentioned before. Feelings. Our thoughts and feelings can influence this space. Moreover, the second one influences even more than the first. And this is a real new discovery. I will be providing, well, for me, this is not a discovery, but for many who are not familiar with this information, it is a revelation. Why am I going to actively provide this information? Right now, from a special practice in the course on the power of managing reality, which starts in April. There we will actually work on not just sitting around, fantasizing, coming up with some new reality, and just sitting there daydreaming, no matter how much you want to fantasize. We will be working specifically because it is the driving force behind this. Of all this shifting. The foundation of 5D is the presence of an infinite number of options. And in order for us to shift into this option, it's essential to align our thoughts and feelings with the outcome that a person wants to achieve. So it's very important to properly tune your consciousness to the result. What result? This is not a fight against aging, not a struggle with age-related changes. And this is creating for yourself such an image of the future in which you completely enjoy all the delights of young life. And this is it. We'll give you the opportunity, shift your reality into the 5D space, into the right sector. Because how does it work through 5D? A road is being paved, as if in a quantum space, in a certain scenario of the future, where the outcome is known. How long you live, how you experience this process. But in order to set this outcome, it's necessary to invest an energetic meaning into it. That's why it's pointless. That's why you can't rejuvenate as a way to escape from aging, which is very important. If a person has thoughts of fear in their mind about aging, they won't be able to tune into youth, because in 5D, the principle is that you emit what you receive. So, youth, renewal, and regeneration are the results of restructuring the vibrations of consciousness. So I have to start right now to feel younger, to start living. You feel younger inside. And then circumstances and the external reality start to adjust to this, meaning it's impossible to achieve something. Running away? It's impossible to arrive somewhere if you're running away from something. For example, you're running away, for example, from a dog. The dog is chasing you and you're running away from it. The question is, where will you run to? If you want to run to a specific place, then you'll be running towards a goal. But for example, if you're just running away from a dog, you'll be running to any place you can. It works the same way in quantum space. If your thoughts and intentions are structured as a process of trying to escape from something, you may never arrive at anything good. That's why the importance, reorganizing your consciousness, the focus on results is very valuable. Otherwise, it turns out that people spend their whole lives fighting problems, trying to escape from them. And these problems, like a dog, keep on chasing and nipping at their heels, tick, 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 tick. Of course, this situation can be changed. You can stop, turn around and chase after that dog, and then it will be running away from you and you'll be nudging it to make it run faster. Your problems will run away from you if you can set them up correctly. Your mind and old age will run away from you if you can set your mind right. Now I'll answer a few questions. You asked if there will be channeling. Let me check right now, because are the Pleiadians with us right now? Yes, we have contact. And before we start, I'll answer a few questions for you. Does counterclockwise rotation slow down aging? You know, if a person believes that they can rotate counterclockwise, and if that slows down aging, then their belief will slow down aging and the rotation won't have an effect on it. How many sessions will there be in the marathon? Are you talking about the Quantum Healing Marathon? Yes, in 2 days I will launch an urgent short marathon on quantum healing. You might not know about it, so if someone suddenly wants to sign up, it's literally for 10 days. So sign up for the marathon urgently, because we won't be accepting anyone who is late. I will work with you there, including channeling quantum rejuvenation energies. I'll touch on this topic too. If anyone is interested in the topic of quantum healing, come by. I have more detailed information about this on my website, and I've also written more about it in my Telegram channel. So, this is a short marathon that starts on February 11th. For 11 days, there will be one introductory webinar and tasks throughout the marathon focused on different organ systems, meditations for restoring various organ systems, including spinal regeneration. What is very relevant for many people also ask me how to make payments from Ukraine. Many are able to pay from Ukraine, but there are different methods available in the instructions. Ask someone for a card, open a card in banks of another country or something else, but those who seek will find we can't do anything on our end for now. We've already tried everything. So try to find some way. If you need to be there, you'll manage. I'm always 15 years old, right? Look, saying I'm always 15 years old isn't necessary. I'm always 15, I'm always 20. Why? Because at 15 you might not have been very beautiful, healthy, and maybe you are very resourceful. Many people at a certain age aren't as healthy as they would like to be. So it's best not to try to associate yourself with some past experience, but to recreate something promising, new, like the rebirth of yourself in a new context. Why? Because in each of us, perfection is embedded in us. Perfection is embedded in our DNA according to sacred geometry. So some people think that unattractive people who have asymmetrical features, a crooked nose, that it's related to genes. But that's not the case. It's not related to genes, it's about lifestyle, how the child breathed. Now there is a so-called concept, adenoid appearance, when the lower jaw, like this, a crooked nose. And so this kind of face, it turns out, is an adenoid appearance. When the adenoids weren't removed in childhood, they obstructed breathing, and the child breathed through their mouth. And they, like Uralda, still have protruding teeth. Because nothing holds their lower jaw back, they are not pushed forward, and they breathe through their mouth. And it turns out that this kind of face is not because they have such genes. This is because attention was not paid to breathing in time. Breathing is very important. The face is crooked on one side. One eye is lower, the other is higher. Because you always chew on one side of your face, it's that simple. Yeah, you just chew. You shouldn't chew symmetrically on both sides, only on one side. Otherwise, your face will become unattractive and it will shift to one side, like this. So, simply restoring proper breathing, correcting the bite, chewing correctly, that already changes the shape of the face, even the shape of the skull bones. Because everything is built into us correctly. It's just that we live incorrectly, we behave incorrectly. Is someone sleeping? Always on one side, not turning over, and their face will be crooked on that side. This also plays a role. Also, about the growth of new limbs, new organs, I definitely want to mention teeth. In the cells of our body, there is a specific protein that is responsible for preventing teeth from growing. For the third time, but this protein is already present now. Scientists have learned to detect and block this protein. And we can influence this consciousness ourselves. So, if you do special meditation practices, you can grow new teeth. And it's real. It also depends on vibrations, on your inner state. So, missing teeth can also grow back. Missing organs can also grow back. So, nothing is impossible. All possibilities are limited only by how much a person is willing to believe in these miracles that they can achieve themselves. Are they going to block YouTube in Russia? Yes, they will. So everyone who is interested should go to Telegram and look for ways to bypass it. All these blocks from Russia. Salted lard is harmful to humans. Look, I'm not going to categorize all the products as harmful or not harmful right now, otherwise it will be chaos. I would recommend, first of all, simpler fats, not like animal fats such as lard, but something simpler and, for example, more fish oil than animal fat, especially pork. Fasting promotes rejuvenation. It's not always necessary for everyone. So there's this opinion that, well, I don't eat anything. Today I came across a video on the internet asking, why am I the purest channel of the Creator's energy on this earth? Because I gave up all worldly pleasures to channel the energies of the Creator. I don't eat anything, I don't drink anything, I don't do anything at all. I don't get any material pleasures at all. I just sit and help people all day long. Well, that's the ramblings of a madman. And it was clear from this woman that she wasn't herself. Did she just make it all up, or is she outright lying? So don't believe in all sorts of nonsense. Of course, intermittent fasting can be beneficial for some people, but not every day, not all the time. And you shouldn't torture yourself with painful diets or go to extremes. It's all not that valuable or useful. You need to pay attention to how your body feels, because if you're forcing it with these fasts, if you're causing it distress, if you try to force your body with your mind, you will not get any benefit from it. You can only harm it. So, what's good is what your body is ready for on its own. So if you think that spiritual people are only those who don't eat meat, only vegetarians and so on, well, that's nonsense. Why? Because spirituality is not defined by that, and if you stopped eating meat, it doesn't automatically make you more spiritual. Spirituality, it's right here in the heart. Nutrition primarily depends on how much your inner readiness manifests. So, if inside you no longer want to eat meat, then it's time to stop eating meat. But if your body wants something and you don't allow it, you forbid it. You're on starvation diets, not drinking, not eating. The harm, it will bring more harm than good. Because you need to be in touch with your body, in touch with yourself. Otherwise, it turns out that your body is like in a concentration camp and you're torturing it like a hostage. This organism is forced to carry out the commands of this stupid head, which listened to the nonsense, to some crazy people, listened to it, believed it, and now torments itself with some crazy diets, some recommendations. And there they may just lie for the sake of views, saying that I don't eat anything, I feed on the Holy Spirit. I went to Bali and became enlightened. Now I don't eat anything, drink anything, or sleep. Eating, sleeping, delirium. It's all a matrix, something they made up. Ugh, what nonsense. The main thing is how you feel. Don't torture your body by listening to nonsense. So you should do what your body feels. If you feel that you've had enough, that you don't want it anymore, then don't eat it. Don't eat not because you've forbidden yourself, but because you don't want to. Because if it's not needed, the body will stop wanting it on its own. Do you understand? If it needs intermittent fasting, it will want to fast intermittently on its own. It will like it, you won't have to struggle with it, you won't have to force your body, suffer and struggle. Someone is writing there, I want to come to your retreat. Welcome, I will have a retreat coming up soon in March. There are still a few spots left, you can make it. From March 12 to 24, the first group, and the second group I think is from March 26 to April 3rd. If you want to get to the retreat as soon as possible, please contact the administrators so you can get in line, and you need to go through an interview. And there will be some selection to get into the retreat. This time we will have training in healing. So I will be initiating into healing energies, teaching healing, and in both groups. And of course, this is not for everyone. It's only for the conscious ones, only for those who really want to help others, including. If it resonates with you, please check the description. All the links will be there in Telegram. All the links will be. And we will definitely do this together. Where is the retreat? So just write to the administrators, they will tell you everything. So right now we have the opportunity on air to get in touch with the Pleiadians. I'm synchronizing with them right now. They are asking, they will tell you their opinion about it. The topic we're discussing today, which is about extending life, health, and DNA restoration. Synchronization is happening. We greet you, people of Earth. Allah tu, man, tu, pak. My name. I'm here in order to tell you about our methods and our evolution. The evolution of our species has taken many years. We are a species living in the area of the star Pleiades, that you indeed call that in your astronomical calendars and maps. Pleiona is a system of a double star around which our planet orbits. And throughout our evolution, we have been beings that work with our own DNA. From the moment we became conscious, this started happening quite quickly for us. We learned to use the power of thought and some additional technological means to adjust our DNA with light energies. You could say we got into our own genetic editing like which allowed us to achieve very high frequencies of our DNA. But before our scientists started editing DNA, we learned to influence gene expression using the power of thought. Gene expression is related to the feelings and thoughts you experience at every moment in time. The sum of the energy transferred to biochemistry influences this directly. Our bodies are structured in a similar way. When the question arose before us about the necessity of self-awareness and the understanding of why people manifest who have imperfections, deformities, and illnesses, we started looking for the reason within ourselves, but not in the DNA, not in the defects of the physical body, but in the reasons of the soul and consciousness, as the soul and consciousness, according to our belief, are the primary cause of all that exists, and the foundation. We have been working for generations to fix this, of our internal conflicts. And when this correction was completed, children started being born to us who were almost always very beautiful. And age. It continued to stretch more and more. These laws are the same for all organisms, arranged in such a way. When you start to heal the inner space of your soul and mind, this manifests in matter, changing the percentage ratios of the expression of your genes. Even the thoughts and feelings that a mother lives with during pregnancy, it has a very strong influence on the child. We paid special attention to pregnant mothers because a pregnant mother is truly a miracle that is currently creating new life. This is perfect state. The mother's womb is better than any incubator, better than the laboratory can influence the child's genes. That is why we took special care of mothers and prepared for the birth of a child in a truly unique and special way. We didn't have children during times of anxiety or stress. We didn't have children during times of emotional turmoil. We first built our lives harmoniously. We built harmonious relationships in couples between a man and a woman based on deep love. And then, when this love began to fill the entire spiritual being of the mother and father, in deep and close contact, they conceived pure life. And after that, in great care and love, the mother was throughout the entire pregnancy, constantly communicating with her child, with the child's father, who was also very important and also communicated with her child. Even while still in the womb, we told our children about the world they would be born into, how much we love them, how wonderful it will be for them to live here, that every word, thought, and feeling of ours reflected on the changes in our children's DNA. And each subsequent generation was born healthier, more blessed. We recommend that you, humanity, adopt this experience. Pay special attention to pregnancy, conception, and birth. This is the secret to the prosperity of any race. A pregnant mother is sacred. the Mother of God, who gives birth to God through herself. This requires special care, special attention and care, love. And before getting pregnant, the mother herself must prepare for the fact that when the child comes into her womb, he will contribute to the uplift, including low vibrational elements, their souls that have not yet been worked through for evolution. So it's best to work with them in advance to prepare for the process of conception on a spiritual level. And here it's not even about fasting, prayers, or any kind of drum dancing, as you say. And here psychological health and love are important. If the mother is feeling guilt, anger, sorrow, self-judgment, or self-flagellation, it's better to first establish this process and only then to conceive a child. But even if it happened, even if it has already taken place, even if your child was born in uncomfortable conditions, in unpleasant circumstances, in destructive emotions, even if they developed illnesses, it's not a disaster. Because in your body, in your DNA, it holds the awareness of how to restore all of this. And indeed, there is a unique and special form of meditation practice called return to the womb. We can teach you. It's simple. Wrap yourself in a warm blanket. Surround yourself with pillows on all sides so that you feel warm, cozy, and comfortable. Play some soft music that resembles a heartbeat. And immerse yourself in the state of intrauterine development. Imagine that you are surrounded by amniotic fluid. And once again, you find yourself inside your mother's womb. And imagine that, do you have a new mother? In a new role, not the one you were in at that moment, and not in the state she was in at that time, but in an ideal state. Imagine that this state of the new mother in which you find yourself, the new womb, is the ideal one. And in this ideal state, you are being nourished. Is the standard, and you are nourished in this standard state with new energy, new youth, new beauty, and vitality. And this benchmark state of a new mother triggers new genes in you, DNA, and even if during your prenatal development your father was not there with you, even if it wasn't next to you, love from your mother, imagine that it exists, that there are now other circumstances, ideal ones. And you can literally feel your father touching you through this belly. A new loving father, it doesn't matter what he was like before. It's important that now he loves you and you feel this love, which radiates through these walls, fills you up. How love radiates from your mother's heart and fills you up. And now imagine that this womb expands, grows larger, and becomes the size of the sun. And you are at the center of this sun, with planets revolving around you. You expand even more and turn into a galaxy, into the Milky Way. And spirals of the galaxy are swirling around you. And through the arms of this spiral galaxy, the milk of the Mother Universe flows into you, all healing. Blissful, blessed energy, being an eternal, imperishable source of life. Allow it to penetrate you. Thank yourself for this and accept it as something you deserve. Accept this love. This was our message from the Pleiades. Such practices can help you restructure your DNA again, to regain a new state of regeneration and renewal. Every cell in your body remembers this. Love yourself, because everything in this world is based on it. Without this inner love to yourself and to everyone around you, the self-destruct program will always dominate. Change your thoughts and actions in every moment. As soon as the idea of something bad arises, immediately find something good in any seemingly bad situation. And then you will be reconstructing the energy, transforming it into a creative potential that will manifest in every cell of your body, initiating the process of rebirth and regeneration. We thank you for this, and we conclude the transmission. That's all for today. We will be present with you and observing. So, how did you find the practice from the Pleiades? I didn't expect it myself. It was quite a revelation for me too. It was an amazing practice. I couldn't even come up with something like that at all. I couldn't even imagine that such a meditation could be done. Return to the womb. This is a very interesting technique, and what's most interesting is, thank you for your attention. Some people might have the idea that Yuri will come up with everything, that he's just fantasizing. I couldn't even imagine that they would tell exactly about how to lay the foundation in utero. A new generation, so this is very important. But even if it seems like it's already done, yes, you've already been born and given birth to your children, you can still influence that, you can still work with it. I will have many more such practices in my courses, in the marathons. The upcoming marathon, this will be quantum healing. So our plans right now are like this. The Academy of Multidimensional Evolution Alcyon. First, the upcoming marathon is quantum healing, which starts on February 11th. And we do not accept latecomers. It's urgent. If you haven't signed up yet, do it now. In 11 days, we'll quickly go through all the organs in a practical way, without a lot of theory, just quickly focusing on the practices. I will be doing energy sessions for everyone on quantum restoration, and you will feel, maybe it won't be direct. So, with a magic wand, all the illnesses just disappeared. Yes. Or maybe it will happen. It really depends on your readiness for it. All I have to do is create a space for you, and the processes will happen to the extent that you are ready for them. As for future plans, I have a retreat coming up where I will also be teaching healing. Working with quantum energies, with the energy of Ka, the energy of Ba, the Merkaba. And next, after the retreat, there will be a new updated marathon called The Power of Reality Management. Not the one that was last year. So I'm re-recording it. It might be 6 or even 7 weeks. Maybe even 8, I don't know, we'll see. Then there will also be chakras and later quantum healing for the 12 chakras. So we already have a preliminary registration on the Otacroom website. We can just move the dates a bit if something shifts for any reason. But we will make the recording available now so that you can reserve a place for yourself, because closer to the end, there might already be limited spots. Don't wait, and the price might change, so it's better to book in advance. Yura, I need your opinion on antidepressants. Do they interfere with transformation? You know, I'll put it this way. If a person is building inner harmony, they won't be needed. Because in a new state of consciousness, one can achieve a different level of calm. It's important to identify the root cause here. What is the cause causing depression? Because antidepressants are just like, how to say, physical suppression of problems, but it doesn't eliminate the problem. Antidepressants as a temporary measure, I believe, can be completely justified to give a person time in a calm state, without depression, without hysteria, to work on his mentality. And once the mental field is cleared and restored, then the antidepressants can be discontinued. And then the person will go into stable remission. That is, I think that this approach is quite rational, because one could fanatically say, we are all cool. Quantum energies, antidepressants, crap, don't use them. But that's what schizoterics usually say. I am telling you from a position of awareness that there is no need to go to extremes. And if at some point a doctor prescribed this, then for a certain period, it might be justified while the process of restructuring consciousness is ongoing. But it's essential to work with psychotherapy, not just sit on antidepressants for a lifetime. Need to discontinue them later over time once the restructuring happens. And if I'm a diabetic, yes, indeed, anyone can be healed. Everything is... The cause of all this is primarily a disruption in the level of consciousness. If I'm a diabetic and I really love and want sweets, what should I do? Don't eat sweets, because sweets are a drug. You have an addiction to them. So just don't eat sweets in any form, that's it. And don't be a diabetic. Sweets are one form of drug addiction, such as what do you think about AIDS? How can we fight this? Not at all. You shouldn't fight anything in life at all. Absolutely. If only you can change your state of consciousness instead of fighting. Thus, in order for the root cause of this AIDS to be recreated, so for example, if this is caused by the HIV virus, it can be recreated. It can leave the body if a person has changed their consciousness. So, consciousness is primary. When a person's vibrations change, everything within them changes as well. So everything comes not by chance and leaves not by chance either. Yes, the main thing is to hold out for a few days without sweets. It's literally just a couple of days, and after that, life becomes easy. And over time, you actually even understand that you don't just not want sweets anymore, but that they just become disgusting and yucky. Even when you take a bite of an apple, you think, damn, it's really sweet. Way too much. Yes, hello. The cosmos doesn't exist. We live in hives, but that's schizophrenia, to be honest. This is schizophrenic nonsense that some so-called schizoterics are filling people's heads with right now. There is no cosmos. We live in hives. The earth is flat. If you hear this, run away from there, for God's sake. I'm begging you. If you don't want to destroy yourself, run away. From those who say the earth is flat, that we live in hives, and that there's a dome above us. And all that. There's also this theory, that only humans have souls, only on Earth, and that no one in the cosmos, no other beings, not even aliens, have souls. That's also the nonsense of a schizophrenic. So remember these, the little keys I'm giving you, because this is the key to distinguishing information. If someone talks this nonsense, you can just run away right away. Oh, I forgot, my lips aren't painted. The Earth is not flat? Yes, let's have a segment. The earth is not flat, the lips are not painted. Stones won't fall from the sky tomorrow. The end of the world won't happen out of nowhere. Yura, I agree with you, but the way you talk about other gurus makes me smile. Isn't this a condemnation? Isn't that a judgment? I move past it. The line between reasoning and judgment, it's not reasoning, it's a statement of fact. I'm stating the fact that there's a lot of schizophrenia on the internet. There are a lot of crazy people now claiming that they are gurus. Notice, you say that the way I talk about other gurus, but I haven't said anything about a single guru right now, because real gurus, instead of being criticized, if they really are teachers, I myself might be watching some. I'm enjoying their work. That is indeed real gurus are gurus. And pseudo-schizophrenia is pseudo-schizophrenia and should be called by their proper names. There's no judgment here, you understand, right? So, if Pian, for example, started insulting some truly outstanding spiritual teacher like, say, Sai Baba, yes, I would say he's like this or that, he's wrong. There's Sati Sai Baba. Yes, I would say he's like this or that, he's wrong. But then that would be what you're saying about judging other gurus. I don't consider myself a guru, although for many I am a teacher. Some people see me as a teacher who imparts knowledge to them. And that's your choice too. I'm neither for nor against. I'm just happy to share my knowledge with an open heart. But I have nothing against any gurus. On the contrary, I recommend everyone to learn meditation and mindfulness only from truly real teachers, masters, and not self-proclaimed schizophrenics who simply, with the help of PR, with the help of deception, with the help of NLP and hypnosis, with the help of marketing, have wound up their subscribers, wound up their fame. And they just talk nonsense, taking advantage of the fact that not every person understands esotericism. Not everyone understands spirituality, and many simply take everything at face value without awareness. In moments like these, the question arises. Let's continue, as one can call it. Such marketing, schizophrenic gurus. I can't bring myself to say that, and this is not a condemnation but a statement of fact. About peptides, which peptides? I can't read everything. And at least, what do you think about shamans and spirits? You understand, you relate, it's always some kind of relationship, right? And that relationship is always a judgment, and a judgment is not the truth. So if I say I have a good attitude towards them or I have a bad attitude towards them, what difference does it make? That would no longer be the truth. It would be my opinion, you see. That would already be a lie. It's true that there are such people. They're neither good nor bad. They just each act in their own way. They interact with spirits. There are imposters. There are those who pretend, and there are those who practice black magic. There are those who harm others, those who are just charlatans. Yes. How I feel about it. Yeah, not at all. I believe that every person has the right to choose where to go, what to do, whom to trust. And it's not for me to decide how you should feel about them. How can I find you? I'm flying to Thailand. You don't need to look for me here. If you're flying to Thailand, just come to my retreat. Adjust your timing and come over, we'll meet there. In the description below the video, there are the contacts of the administrators. Does blood type indicate extraterrestrial origins? No. That's a fantasy about blood type. What causes multiple sclerosis and how? Treat? Like, actually treat? Only doctors can do this. To help a person recover from this problem, to recreate its root causes. This is what it's all about. Quantum healing, including psychosomatics. I have a friend, for example, who successfully helped a girl to recover from multiple sclerosis, so she stopped fainting and his symptoms went away. He just didn't work with her for long, maybe even a year or more, meeting with her every week in personal sessions until she went into remission. Are fruits like mango or papaya considered sweet? Yes, they are considered sweet, so you should consume them in moderation. So many schizophrenia. What order do you think the numbers are in? What do you mean in percentages? Martin. Didn't understand anything in your question. If you mean what percentage of information on the internet I think is schizophrenic, right now I think it's about 80%, and that percentage, it continues to increase. That is probably even between 80 and 90%. Information? That's exactly it. All this is schizophrenia. Today I checked out one of the channels, and they were talking about what's going to happen in 25. Those born under the 6 and the 7, something will be waiting for you, but it should come later. We are degrading. Are we really degrading so much? Is this what they were talking about on TV in the 90s? Are we back to that? We will listen to forecasts again and think, oh my God, I was born 3rd on this date. Oh my goodness, that forecaster said I should be afraid of this and that. What nonsense. Well, how much longer can this go on? We control reality. What forecasts? What numbers? It doesn't work. That's it. It doesn't work anymore. Sitting around and doing nonsense. Why? Nothing works. Don't listen to any forecasts. Create it yourself. You always have a choice. Either create your own reality or let others create it for you. What do you like more? What is the cause of autism in children? There are different reasons, a lot of them, including substance deficiencies and intrauterine development disorders, a lack of love. These are all some of the reasons. Are you saying that numerology doesn't work anymore? I don't want to say that all numerology doesn't work. I just want to say that they don't work. Predictions? There's no point in making any predictions about the future. They don't work. Only what can be calculated from the date of birth works, like predispositions. So character traits, predispositions, what energies the soul has. Because according to the soul chooses its date of birth before incarnation. And based on the characteristics of the date of birth, you can determine the traits that the soul possesses. But it's impossible to predict the future with any numbers. That's all. It's already fantastic. There is an update in numerological knowledge, quantum numerology, but it hasn't been fully revealed yet. What is the psychosomatics of migraines? Well, open the reference book and read it. We're not discussing the topic of psychosomatics and all the problems now. How does the higher self choose illnesses before incarnation? Let's talk about the higher self right away. So, who was in my course on reconnecting with the higher self? The concept of the higher self is a false concept. We only use it for the sake of convenience, so you understand that we're talking about the same thing. In reality, it's incorrect to say higher self because it seems like it's up there, higher, and we can't reach it in any way. There is only one concept, the true self, and that is it. Here, in our soul, right here in the golden light that we connected with today, here it is. Higher self, true self. This is of primary importance. Therefore, the true self, it doesn't choose illnesses for itself. It outlines specific points that need to be worked on. And in general, humanity has a completely wrong attitude towards the concept of health and the concept of illness. Because health, when you wish for it, health, happiness, health. So what is health? So I'll ask you, what is health? Health comes from the word healthy, or what exactly? Here's a trick question. What is health? Well, I think I might be getting ahead of you a bit. Health is something when you don't feel any pain, but that might not be health at all. You might not even know that there are some problems. Maybe nothing hurts, but that doesn't mean it's health. It's best to replace the concept of health with the concept of the best standard state of a person. So the best standard state is when everything is perfect. And this is not just health. It's a level of health that you couldn't even imagine. It's precisely in this regeneration, rejuvenation, you also need to reach that level. And the attitude towards illnesses is wrong. That's why we can't heal, because we try to fight against diseases and battle with our organs, as if the organs are the cause of the problem. To be afraid of pain, to be afraid of diseases, and that's not right. It's harmful, because our illnesses are just signals. And as someone asked me in the Telegram chat, what about karmic diseases? There are no such things as karmic diseases. You can breathe a sigh of relief. It's nonsense that a person gets sick as a punishment for their actions. This is an extremely limited and an inaccurate understanding of the situation. Because when a person is sick, it doesn't mean that fate is punishing them for something. He did something bad and now he's sick. No, because otherwise all the worst people would have gotten sick and died a long time ago. But that doesn't happen in the world, right? There are a lot of people who do very bad things and they aren't immediately affected, some diseases, and who usually get sick. Those who are very smart, who are very righteous and kind, that's who gets sick the most, because what is the universe punishing them? Is God punishing them? No, it's because of their attitude towards themselves. Shameless people get sick less often because they don't torment themselves with feelings of guilt. And conscience is a construct of society. It's not the spiritual part of us that tells us how to act correctly. It's the fantasy of society, conscience. Because conscience doesn't exist, there's only love. If there is love, no conscience is needed. And conscience is already the games of the ego, selfishness, born by society, forcing a person to manipulate their behavior using programs. Aren't you ashamed? Shameless. You can consider me shameless. I'm not ashamed of anything, ever. I'm just not ashamed at all. If someone tells me, "Aren't you ashamed?" I'll say, "No, I'm just not ashamed." Because I act according to my soul and not according to the programs that are embedded by society. That's why there are no karmic diseases. There is only a state that needs to be corrected in the mind. And every illness is a signal, a hint that helps draw attention to something for spiritual development. So every illness is a step in spiritual growth, and that's very good. So you shouldn't think that illness is something bad, a punishment from God for suffering, to mock us. Illnesses. These are not sufferings, not problems, but illnesses. They are spiritual steps in development. And a person undergoes evolution, not when he has sincerely suffered through these illnesses and endured these trials with dignity, but when he finally heals and realizes the root cause that created them, he restores his ideal state. At the moment, I can't answer all the questions right now. So, if there are any additional questions, feel free to join the Telegram channel. I don't understand why not everyone has subscribed to the Telegram channel yet, because I share a lot of interesting, important, and valuable information there. I'll just do something right now, just a second. So the Telegram channel links in this Telegram channel, I record voice messages. It's all open. We are constantly interacting with you. And there you can by joining this Telegram channel, get information for yourself, answers to questions, and additional insights that come to me in audio, which I quickly record there. And the most important thing is that it's free of charge. No one is asking anything from you there. You don't need to pay for any subscriptions. Nothing is required. I just share openly with you as much as I feel it. So, if you thought that I'm inviting you there for some selfish reason to gain something from you, yes, I don't need anything from you. I just sometimes have nowhere to put my knowledge, nowhere to share the thoughts that you might not have. I have nowhere to put the information that comes to me, and I use the Telegram channel simply as a relay to unload something, to speak it out, to send it all to you. It exists for your benefit, so I thank everyone for that. Today, you say you're used to YouTube, but it's not the same as on YouTube. To catch it, you thought that in Telegram, it's just a duplicate of what's here, that there's nothing else there. On the contrary, you're missing out on a lot. You're missing out on a lot. There, I'll show you now. How much has happened recently? Focus. Here I record voice messages where I share a lot of insights that come to me. There are 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10, 30. These are all deep, some kind of spiritual insights, journeys where I've been, what I've done. Glimmers, some what realizations and insights did I gain in these power places. Don't miss out on all of that. It's all for you. And I don't need anything from you. Can you imagine how cool that is? I don't need anything. Thank you all, and I'm wrapping up this broadcast for today. I'm glad that you always stay with me. I'm happy that you continue to watch all my broadcasts. Wait, there will be a broadcast with Shiva soon. Yes, Mahadev. And the broadcast will be sensational, as usual, just the way I like it. Because Shiva is misunderstood. People absolutely misunderstand Shiva and think that he is a god. Destruction. We'll talk about this topic. This will be a sensational revelation of the true nature. Shiva, I don't think I've heard anyone yet. Is there anyone on earth I would tell the truth about Shiva? Who he really is. But I've heard all sorts of nonsense. But it's exactly what I personally felt when I came into contact with his energies. I haven't heard. So I'm waiting for everyone. At my broadcasts, at the courses. And in the coming weeks, stay tuned for the announcement. It will be very interesting.